Would like to see one closer, but still cool.
One of the best parts about traveling is getting to see bird species that would be extremely rare in the place you usually live, but are common in the location you're visiting. This was the case when we went to California in search of two species that would be lifers for us, the Clark's Grebe and the Canyon Wren. Joining us on our quest is our friend and professional bird guide Rachel Clark, who knows the Central California birding scene like the back of her hand.
We're here in Millerton Lake State Recreation Area, and we are surveying for Clark's and Western Grebes. We think we saw some out here, but the Clark's is the main one we want to get because we've seen Western before, but it's weird to see kind of these lakes like without any vegetation. It's kind of like the deserty area, and then it's just water. So we'll be scanning and hopefully we'll be able to pick out a Clark's.
This habitat is really unique because in the east, whenever there's a body of water, there's a lot of trees, grasses, and just plants in general around it. Out here, it's like rock, dirt, and sand, and then right into the water. It's a really unique experience for us because we don't get to see this kind of thing very often. Millerton Lake State Recreation Area is highlighted by a large man-made lake that provides a space for many different activities, including hiking, boating, fishing, and sightseeing. For us, this lake provided habitat for our target birds, and we wasted no time in beginning our search.
So we have a bunch of Clark's/Western Grebes out there, but unfortunately they're like smack dab in the middle of this enormous lake. There's like jet skiers and stuff going through them, and they just don't care because I thought maybe they would come in a little closer. So we're going to try to get closer to them so that we can get a better visual, because the ID between the two can be a little tricky. So hopefully we'll be able to get some closer views.
We walked around the shoreline, hoping to spot a bird a little closer in. The good news was that we found some. The bad news was that none of them were Clark's Grebes.
We did find a grebe that's closer, but unfortunately it's a Western Grebe. So they're going to have that dark on the head, kind of below the eye, where with Clark's it would be above the eye. So we pretty clearly see this one's a Western. All the other ones out there, we're still not 100% sure what they are.
Also around the lake were numerous wrens, which provided plenty of entertainment as they hopped around the large boulders. We found a couple of cool birds here. There were some rock wrens that were jumping around on the big boulders, and then there were a couple of closer Western Grebes. And even though it's not the Clark's Grebe that we're after, a Western Grebe is still a really cool bird for anybody living in the east because they rarely show up there, but here they're in abundance. Relegated to scanning the flock of grebes miles out in the middle of the lake, we meticulously picked through the birds, finding a common merganser, some American coots, and eventually our target bird. Looks like we got Clark's.
Long range Clark's. Would like to see one closer, but still cool.
You sniped them.
Sniped them.
You can see that eye clearly in the white.
Oh, absolutely. There's no two ways about it. The feathering over the eye is definitely white. The flanks were definitely paler, too. Very diagnostic marks for Clark's Grebe.
Clark's Grebes have a gray to black back and wings, black on the back of their long neck, and a black crown. They have an elongated yellow bill and a clean white underside and face. It's important to note that the white on their face goes above their bright red eye, as opposed to the extremely similar Western Grebe, which has black over the eye. Clark's Grebes are birds of the West, with some living year-round in Mexico and parts of the United States. In winter, they can be found along the west coast of the continental U.S., but in summer, they travel farther inland, nesting in areas with slow-moving fresh water. Clark's Grebes eat mostly fish, which they catch by diving, but will also eat small vertebrates and many different invertebrates as well, including insects and worms. After finding target bird number 1, we turned our attention to target bird number 2.
We had the distant Clark's. Now we're going to go look for Canyon Wren, while also maybe scanning for some better Clark's views along the way. So hopefully we'll be able to pick up a Canyon Wren. We've seen tons of rock wrens. We also had a killdeer family, and then there was a rabbit we saw, and some ravens as well. So we're picking up some cool species here, really unique habitat.
Walking along the side of the road, Rachel heard the telltale call of this interesting species.
There is a canyon wren somewhere down in one of the far rock piles. It just uttered its really distinct buzzy Jeet call note, and then right after that it gave its really distinctive kind of descending whistled song, which is absolutely unmistakable. So we're going to kind of stand here for a few minutes and take a really close look and see if we can get a visual on the beautiful canyon wren.
Unfortunately, this particular canyon wren was reluctant to show itself.
Found Rufous Crown Sparrow here, but the canyon wren did not want to come out for a view, so we're going to move down a little further.
A little further down the road, we once again heard canyon wrens making noise, and this time, we were actually able to see them.
We got canyon wren. They're really awesome to watch. They were darting around. I think there were about 3, darker than the other rock wrens, and of course the song is different than the rock wren song, so that was an awesome find.
Canyon wrens are very distinctive looking among North American wren species. They are a rusty brown color with barring on their tail. The top of their head, back, and wings are a slightly grayer color than the rest of their body, and they have a white throat and chest. Canyon wrens can be found year-round in most of Mexico and the western United States. There are even some parts of southwestern Canada that canyon wrens inhabit. These chunky wrens eat small invertebrates such as insects and spiders that they actively search for, hopping around rocks and scouring crevices. Look for canyon wrens in arid places with large rocks and steep slopes, and listen for their distinctive buzzy noises. While we watched the wrens, we noticed something interesting.
So not only do we have some canyon wrens up here, but they're feeding young. So it looks like one's going into a crevice and then coming back out, and you can hear the little noises. And then one actually came out and was doing the fledgling wing pump, wanting food, and then one came out and sang. So we're having an incredible canyon wren experience, and an incredible landscape too.
After spending some time watching the wrens, we checked out a few other areas around the lake. We found Canada geese and got some extremely nice views of California quails. Eventually, we called it a day and headed out, happy to have found 2 life birds. It was certainly a different habitat than we're used to, but we had a great time birding around this fascinating lake. It was exciting to be able to find 2 species we most likely would never have had the chance to see in the eastern part of the country. We may never have found these birds if not for Rachel, who knew exactly where to look for them and how to identify them both by sight and sound. If you'd like to book a tour with Rachel, check out her website by following the link in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding. Yeah, let me put my sleeves down.
He's indecent.
We can't get flagged for having firearms in the video.
Too white.
Can't